Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Brian J. Lambert, your favorite indie comic writer's favorite writer, along with Jason Reeves, the comics consigliere, as I call him. We still beefing over the name. He sees himself more as like a Michael Corleone. I see him as a Vito. I think he's a wartime consigliere. But again, we'll get into that later. We'll let you guys decide. I also think the alliteration of comics consigliere sounds awesome. So, let writers write. But we are
Wartime
back.
boss, sir. Wartime boss.
We are back for episode 2, actually, of the Chop Up, where we kind of give you guys what Jason likes to call inside baseball. We talk comics, we talk entertainment, we talk the business, we talk everything we're doing currently. So we're going to jump right into it. We have an amazing project that we just let out the first, basically, like teaser and the pre-launch Kickstarter page for it, called Who Got Next. I'm gonna share the screen right now, so you guys can see what we were able to do with Who Got Next, and what we're able to produce here.
Whew.
Who Got Next is a fast-paced trading card and deck building game that we will be launching very soon. It is a fast-paced game where you can use elemental powers to ball, battle, and break ankles. So imagine Pokemon crossing over with the N1 mixtape. That's the world that you're going to be jumping into with Who Got Next. Again, it's amazing. As you can see, Jason Reeves blessed us here with this amazing artwork. Both of our companies have always been about diversity, inclusion, and moving marginalized people forward. So obviously, we're going to represent that within the card game as well. It is based on in systems like Magic or like Pokemon, like we said, with a very strong basketball core to to um to
To push
stabilize
the
it.
game, right? To push the
Right.
game forward. Thematically,
Yeah.
it is basketball culture.
Thank you. So real quick, just want to go over the story, right? Who's got next? The court is calling, the cards are live. You got game? Who Got Next is a high energy street ball inspired trading card game where players clash using elemental powered moves across iconic zones like the paint, perimeter, and the legendary signature zone. You're going to build your 25 card deck with fast break combos, ruthless traps, and draw dropping signature moves. Score points, dominate zones, and crush your rival in a battle of skill, strategy, and swagger. So it's going to be easy to pick up. You're going to be able to drop right in, but strategy is going to be key. It's going to be an awesome deck builder, an awesome game where someone who gets a new deck can play with someone who has a deck that's been there for a while. It's going to be multiple levels and multiple tiers of play. There's 7 elements, multiple classes, endless combos. You got zone control, power deck fusion. It's player versus player. No limits, no hand holding, just you, your deck, and the court. So, like I said, if Pokemon and one mixtape had a crossover with Naruto, this is where you'd be. You get Who Got Next. It's coming very soon. We have 12 followers. Yeah, soft launch. That's what it is. Soft launch. So we're going to start talking about it over time and over the next couple weeks and days and months. Matteo Illuminati is doing some amazing card art for it. Who's an amazing artist.
Let me put that on screen. I'll put that on
And
screen.
then we have a couple big time artists that have said that they are part of the campaign and they are part of the game itself. We've talked to Ray Anthony Height, we've talked to Keith and Jones, we've talked to Rashad Doucette. Obviously, we got Jason here. We've got just an amazing team that we're putting this together.
Shout out to
Right,
Mateo, man. Like, yo, just bringing
right,
the heat on this thing.
man. For me, it's crazy because my conversation with Mateo was relatively limited. This is for me the first project that I am not the art director in terms of something coming out of Wingless. I've art directed everything that's come out of Wingless. So turning that over, like that piece of control over to somebody who is a master at their craft in Jason Reeves has been different. It's been eye opening. It's been bomb because again, Mateo locked in these images and the look and the feel we were going for. And I don't know how large or short of a conversation you and Mateo had, but it's spot on.
Man, Mateo, look, he's a professional. It's easy. We've been working together for, a good amount of years now. So our rapport is real easy. I don't have to give Mateo a lot of direction. He's the main artist on Changa and the Jade Obelisk. And he's done some stuff for One Nation. So we kind of have developed working rapport that doesn't take a lot of direction.
Yeah.
He's an action oriented artist. He has manga sort of inspiration going on in there, and he's especially lately has been developing this sort of exaggerated action forms. Like movement and
Yeah.
exaggeration are his like main vein right now. So I already know what he's coming with. And when we started kind of visualizing this game and started kind of conceptualizing the game, um, I thought of Mateo instantly. I was like, oh yeah, especially with his new stuff, right? There's not as
Yeah.
many lines, there's just more gesture. So it's really cool to see him shine on this thing. All I told him was we're doing a basketball game. Um, we want to combine manga and anime influence, and we definitely want to have, hip hop '90s street ball culture, but we also want to kind of combine the looks and the characters, and just sprinkle in all those things that we love to conceptualize this game. So he's done a crazy amazing job, and he's one of the better artistic communicators in the game. So I love collaborating with dude.
I also have to say, you and I were talking earlier this week, man, and I ended up telling Monica, I ended up telling my wife, man, like I was like, you said something, and I was like, oh shit, it took the story in a different way. You were like, oh man, like, what about a dude who's just like a regular dude, but he's like cold in the hood, like he just knows how to play, blah blah blah, and then he gets his hand on like the gold ball. I was thinking to myself the other day, and I was like, man, a dude who can kind of predict other people's moves, like kind of like Kakashi because he
Ooh,
got a crystal
yeah,
ball. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just all
yeah,
these like
that's
little
dope.
pieces, right?
That's
Right.
dope.
And it was like,
Listen,
oh, like it just all these little like the synergy of collaborating, right? With good collaborators. I try not to just only live in the moment, right? The card game is the moment, and as we continue to build the campaign and do the promotion and the marketing and get it out there, like that's one piece of it. But I like thinking about what we're going to do. We're both comic creators. So there's going to be a comic. There's going to be a story that we put in. Like we already have a lot of it, but we're going to obviously do it. So I love thinking about that part. Like where are these characters going to go? I love thinking about the next piece of this. Like I said, for me, uh
look at, I
the
mean,
dream part of it is
have y'all? I don't know how many people have like seen, like we sell these books, but
right.
I just want to show
Right.
more of Mateo, since we're talking Mateo comics,
Mateo,
right?
right,
I
right.
just want to show some of his Chang and the Jade Obelisk stuff. And man, look,
Yeah,
this dude, the anime influence, everything is beast, and this is
right,
a
right.
page from Changa. But yeah, he
Yeah,
is amazing.
I think that again, I can't wait to see the next step, right? I can't wait to do the RPG. Who Got Next is made for an actual RPG. It's made like Pokemon Red and Blue, right? You're going to collect Pokemon. You go to gyms, you battle gym leaders, you collect Pokemon to ultimately become, you know what I mean? You want to be the very best. The same thing you do in basketball, right? Everybody wants to be the greatest. Everybody wants to be the GOAT.
Absolutely.
So I can't wait for the moment where we get to make the RPG that does the same thing, challenging gym leaders, one-on-one contests, all wise. You're collecting moves from different gyms. You know what I mean? Like you got to go to Rucker Park and go beat the dudes at Rucker Park. You know, just all those little elements of creating not only a card game, right, but the story and bringing other people into our world. We're bringing people into our imagination to like play in the sandbox and have fun with us as well.
Yeah,
So man, I
man.
can't.
The juice for me too is kind of the juxtaposition of all the different things, right? Like when we talk
Yeah,
about it, every time we talk about it, I see in my head like Naruto and basketball. How crazy would that be, right? Like I see in my
yeah,
head like some Jujutsu Kaisen style basketball games, right? In
right,
terms of like action and fights and stuff like
right,
that happen on the tabletop, right? Like I want
right,
people to be slamming these cards down like dunk on me.
right.
I'm really interested to see how hype cats get when they actually play the
Yeah,
game. I can't wait for the first playthrough, actually.
right, right. I think about I don't know how big of a Dragon Ball fan you are, but when they were doing the Tournament of Power a couple years ago, right? Remember when Goku had that he had that Kamehameha saved up and he like
Mhm.
skied on old girl's blast and then like did the little turn and like hit her right in the face with it, bro. Like
Yeah,
that's what I think about when I think about somebody dunking on, you know what I mean? Like in the when it's playing, right? Like you get that little, oh, somebody's going up for a block, it looks like it's gonna hit. Oh nah,
yeah,
he spun on them in the air, dunks, breaks the rim,
right,
Shaq style. You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
that kind of energy or whatever.
Like
Um,
imagine something like Shadow Clone Jutsu, but on the court.
bruh. Right,
Crazy.
right, right,
Like
right.
I
Yeah,
love when Goku does his Kamehameha wave tricks because everybody
yeah,
knows he got to charge it up, then he got to shoot it. You could move out of the way quick, but if he
yeah,
adds, like instant transmission to it or something, right? Like, and we
yeah,
get a Kamehameha wave, you thought it was coming from in front of you, but it's coming from behind you. That
yeah,
vibe.
yeah.
Adding that kind of stuff to, I mean, Black Flash on a basketball
Right,
court,
right,
crazy. Like that's the
right,
type of
right.
stuff. That's where my head is at when
Yeah,
Mateo and I are conceiving these things. So yeah, I'm
yeah,
super excited
yeah,
to get to the gameplay, man. Like that's gonna be
yeah,
dope.
yeah, yeah. Again, man, to me, it's just so dope to see holding something that you're giving life in your hand, like it has a life of its own. So now to be able to have like a card game that also, like you said, man, I want people slamming it down like it's spades or like dominoes, and like I want people really going there, right? Talking mess, like really feeling like a court battle, right? Like, and don't, man, bro. Once people get the signature zone, because again, man, the signature zone move, depending on when you use it, because it's all strategy, bro, that could turn the tide of an entire game. You might be down, you do the right signature move with the right combo at the right time, and it changes the entire dynamic of everything. So I love little, caveats and things like that. Like that's, man, again, man, I can't wait. I also love the fact that because there are multiple classes, right? You can excel in your class, but that doesn't mean that you're automatically going to win. You could
Right.
have the 25 best cards from that class, right? But again, if somebody's more strategic than you, then you still could lose. Oh man, I'm gonna do all score, 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 score. If you're not protecting the ball, you don't have defense, you don't have the other stuff together, it don't matter. It's really like a basketball game, right? Like there have been a ton of teams that could score a ton of points. Look at the Rockets when James Harden was on there. They scored a ton of points. Lost a ton of games though. You know what I mean? Like I love that ability, right? To really have that you never know aspect, just like you do in real sports.
I love the look. I feel like an underdog, and that's how I want to play who got
Yeah,
next. Like I want to
right.
be able to jump in there. Maybe I am the underdog. Maybe I've never played before, and I want that for people who are strategic, who
Yeah,
you're just playing the hand you dealt, but you can think your way through it. Like I
right,
love
right.
that, and that's the kind of player I am, and that's what I want for y'all.
Yeah,
Like come in there
right.
and do your shit.
Right. Think about when we play like Ninja Sloths against each other, and Monica was playing with us, right? And I think that you and I got so obsessed with playing against each other. Monica
Uh-huh.
was whooping our ass in the background, right? Like, and doing a real sly and slick. And it wasn't until like we was down quite a few points, and then we was like, oh man, she's the threat. Like, oh, we gotta, but it was too late. You know what I mean?
She's one of those
Uh,
quiet ones you gotta watch,
right,
man. Like
right,
she.
right. I love that. Also, we haven't really talked about this part, but the game board, the game mat is gonna go crazy. So
Oh yeah.
off the gate with the regular edition of the game, you're gonna have the regular poster kind of game mat. But obviously, we're gonna give upgrades for like the official kind of game mats, the rollout game mats and stuff like that, the rubberized ones and stuff. That game mat is gonna go crazy. And obviously, look, man, we got so many courts that we can make, right? We're gonna have one that's the standard one. But you got to think, man, you got courts in Redondo. Again, you got Rucker Park, you got like iconic basketball venues that we're going to be able to utilize the aesthetics that they have to really put people there. Man, I want people coast to coast being like, I'm the guy.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
and then we talk about, again, I was talking about like looking at the next thing. I always have like the dream of a project. Like what if I had $1 billion, what would I do or whatever? So my dream for this project is I would do Who Got Next Go. It would be just like Pokemon Go, right? Like in the heyday of COVID, if you could say heyday of COVID or whatever. But people used to show up at the park. Everybody was trying to catch that one Mewtwo or whatever it was, right? Like, and it'd be 50 people in the park playing against this one Pokemon or trying to conquer this gym. I want the same thing. It would be so dope if me and you could meet up at a park because that's where the challenge is, and we are the person who got to take over that gym. And then after that, you got to defend that gym. Like again, one on one, even face to face, augmented reality. To me, that's man, that's the dopest shit to be able to really immerse people in
Right.
something. And again, it gives access to everybody. Basketball is the only sport that you can play solo. You can play basketball. You don't need anybody's help for it, right? And so to even open that up even more to people that may not even have access to that type of thing, you know what I mean? And they can play it from their phone and get that love of the game and that joy of the game, bro. Man, plus this killer ass art.
You're making something that has like this sort of crossover appeal, no pun intended. But I feel like that has really something to it, right? Like I want people to be immersed in it. Like immersion
Right.
is big, it's huge for me too. Like we like to do escape rooms, things like Omega Mart at Meow Wolf in
Yeah.
Vegas and stuff like that. Like apex of the stuff that we create, right? Become something big and immersive where people are inside of it and they really love it and they bring it into
Yeah.
themselves and their homes and stuff. I think this could
Yeah.
be one of them ones. Like
Right.
if
Right.
we play it right. And
Our relationship and our friendship started with comic books, right? But there is a huge difference even with someone like reading your books and being immersed in that world and like joining that world, right? Who Got Next immediately does that, and I think that that's a huge piece, right? Like it immediately allows people to jump in and be part of that world, which is dope as fuck, right? Like they don't have a choice but to immerse themselves in what's going on and be at the pulse of it.
if this is the first game I've been like I've produced and I've
Yeah.
been like art director on and whatnot. You know, people have seen some of my stuff, like the Hasbro stuff. I worked in Boys
Mhm.
Toys for a little while as a freelancer, and we did, many prototypes for games. Um, I worked for Alderac on Legend of the Five Rings. That's a card game.
Mhm.
Wizards of the Coast on Dreamblade that ran for like a year. So it's been cool to do that stuff, but to be like one of the companies behind it and to really be in on not just the concept, but the narrative of it and the production. I hope that
Right.
Kickstarter, we're gonna run that Kickstarter and we're gonna try to get as many people involved as we can. And it's an
Right.
exciting thing.
Right. Right. I've also for me, I worked on the Sundering uh with Unlikely Hero Studios and Hannibal Taboo, which is a 5e compatible game. I did some writing
Dope
for that. I did
game.
a ton of editing for that.
Yeah.
I worked for GMR Center as their head writer. And they had a game called Battle Leaks and all this stuff. And yeah, man, it's good doing these other projects, right? But having your own world and again being able to create it from the ground up, which is also something that we're gonna have to cover later, right? Like
Yeah.
game design isn't easy. Card games and creating these battle systems and creating balance and it ends up being these things that you have to continually like test and test and test and try again. And when you're balancing elemental powers versus regular stuff, just all these little things. None of it's bad, man, but it's just so much that goes into it. And it's actually really dope. You get into the
Well, you
minutia
have
in a
to.
way that you may not necessarily in comics, right? Because comics are kind of
Well,
straightforward.
in comics, you come up with the concept and you write it, and you link the art with the writing, right? And that's challenging in and of itself. But now you're linking concepts and art and narrative to numbers in the game,
Right.
right? There's
Right.
math involved in this stuff that that shoo, like I it's
Yeah.
just fun at the beginning of projects to like
Yeah.
all the stuff you'll learn and all the stuff you can put on in your skill set.
Right.
It's gonna be really cool.
It really is a Frankenstein monster of like I feel like we're right at the point, right? When we launched the Kickstarter, it's like that moment where he hits the power lever, you know what I'm saying? And then the lightning
Yeah.
strikes, and we're right at that point. So I love again, man, I just love where we are. And while we gave Mateo a ton of props, man, I definitely need to give you props. Just off the gate, out the rip, right? So I pitched this idea to Jason, and I'm like, man, I'm always like, look, go with me because I have a vision, but I don't know if I'm always communicating it well. And I told him about it. And then the first thing you did, bro, is you came out with a basketball that was like a geode,
Uh,
which again, my mind never would have gone there, 100%. But
I
that's such
love,
a dope ass idea.
I
And
love
the
it.
look of it is so specific and again, man, it's killer, bro. Straight killer. So
I appreciate
I
that,
I
man.
need to give you props for that. Also, it was a twist on look, we've seen it in Avatar, we've seen it in everything else, right? Where you get air looks a certain way, water looks a certain way, earth looks a certain way, electricity, right? There are only so many things you can kind of do sometimes,
Hmm.
right? But I don't know that I've ever seen most of the time when you see purple in a thing, that means it's shadow, right?
Yeah,
I don't know that I've ever really seen purple be like a geode. You know what I mean? And that bring its own little personality to it. You know what I'm saying? Like within these magic systems. So,
right. I
man,
mean,
like I said, bro, I love it.
I was just sitting there like, how can I represent Earth, right? I mean, we had a quick discussion and was like, well, what do we want for the main image, right? And we're like, well, let's not make it too complicated at first. We want people to get the idea, right? Basketball meets Pokemon. And so I was just like, how do I represent Earth, right? Fire, I don't want to say easy, but fire is fire. Everybody,
Yeah,
that's
it's
an easy touch,
obvious.
right? That's an obvious touchstone. Water, same thing. But when you get into like wind and earth and how to represent it in a way that is not that you don't see all the time, right? Especially we
Yeah.
got Avatar, we got Naruto. I was like, I do not want to do green for earth. I just don't. And then I was
Yeah.
like, well, what minerals, what exist in the earth that could give me another uh conceptually like another color, but it still kind of harkens back to, and I was like, a geode is gorgeous. Like geodes are
Yeah.
beautiful. They're purple and blue, and they have like those um sort of tones. And I was like, I think that's it, right? Like I can make
Yeah.
purple, especially in terms of this cover and the colors. I can make that
Yeah.
work. And
Yeah.
I thought of the Lakers and Lakers, yellow, purple, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I was like,
Right.
Kobe, let's
Right.
invoke Kobe on in at the forefront.
Right. Right. Yeah, 100%.
That, that's kind
100%.
of where my head was. I was like, Kobe and for this main character guy, I was like Kobe and Kendrick. I don't know if you. I,
Mm.
I think I think it was people were comparing the Super Bowls at the time I was doing this. So
Yeah.
Kendrick was in the media. So I was like Kobe and Kendrick, let's go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, man. I can't wait for, like I said, what we do. So, y'all go follow the page. Anybody watching this, anybody seeing this,
please,
go follow the
please do.
page. It's on Kickstarter right now. It's in pre-launch. Who got next? It's like I said, it's on Kickstarter as we speak. We will be launching relatively soon. So just keep your ears to the ground. You're gonna be able to hear it and see it and enjoy it with us.
We'll put links out on the various social medias and in the comments of wherever this video will be. And man, give us a follow, man. Holla at us. Like let us
Right.
know, what you're thinking. And just keep your eyes out for that launch, man. It's time, it's go
Right.
time. I
Ugh. Now that we've covered who got next,
right.
let's get into what Jason calls
We
inside baseball.
we getting
Let's
into popular comics, the popular comics, what do you call it? Media
discourse.
chatter, media chatter.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
discourse, right, right,
right.
right.
So the milestone event. I feel like that's the best way to because that's what
I
it
mean,
is,
that's what
right?
it is. It's the
Um,
the the Dakota incident, right?
right,
Like,
right, right,
but spiraling into real life almost.
right. It became a Dakota incident.
Yeah, it became a
You know,
Dakota incident. It's
uh,
I'm laughing, but man, I'm like, I don't understand why we always this it seems like every few years,
mm,
especially when Milestone kind of gets back into the consciousness and they want to start making new comics, there's always I don't know, undertone, right?
Mhm.
Of like conflict, maybe
Yeah.
is a thing amongst the black indie community. I don't even want to frame it like that, but the black indie comics community, then there's sort of like the Milestone comics, but then there's that sort of third option is DC Comics, right? Or mainstream
Right.
comics, right?
Right.
And there's always this sort of conflicted thing. Like Milestone kind of sits in the middle, I guess.
I was gonna say, I think that's part of the problem is maybe some of the framing, right? Because and we'll get in obviously some more of this, right? But the fact that Milestone is compared to an indie comic, I don't necessarily think is fair.
Right,
You wouldn't say an artist is an independent artist if they're backed by Sony, right?
right,
Sony does my
right,
distribution, but I'm an independent artist. No, you're
right.
not, right? And that's what Milestone is. Milestone, the fact that Milestone gets conflated with independent artists and independent black comics is kind of it's kind of whack, right? And that I think that division starts there, and that's a corporate division, right? Like that's not necessarily a person to person division. And I
Right.
think that might be actually purposeful, right? Again, from a
Yeah.
corporate level, I think that
Yeah.
I don't think that that's an accident
Yeah. I
necessarily.
think if I'm being honest, I feel like the undertone is fomented a little bit. It's
Yeah,
definitely advantageous for the parent company. Or I don't even know, like no one really knows what the deal is going on there, versus
yeah,
parent company versus subsidiary or whatever. No one
right,
knows. I forgive me if I'm categorizing it wrong because I don't know what the deal is. However, um the the parent company, for lack of a better
right.
term,
The controlling interest at this point.
right. Um I think it works in their favor. Um
Yeah,
I think they can have their cake and eat it too, which
agreed.
is not great for those people like us on the other side, right?
Right,
And
right,
again, I don't want to put it as, a versus thing because we all support Milestone. Those
right.
creators, historically, I'm talking about creators through the generations, are people that are beloved, right? There it
Bruh.
is.
Right,
People that
right.
are
So,
beloved by our community, generations of us, right?
right,
So, you know, but I do think that, and you know me, if you follow me online or you've heard me speak, I'm always like indie over mainstream. That's just, I'm
right,
always going to be that way because I came up through indie. I forged my path through indie, and I'm always going to try to protect black indie comics from whoever.
right,
So that's
right.
just my vibe. So
Yeah,
what
okay.
spurred this on was the Dakota Incident 100K challenge.
Yes.
Let's
Started by
elaborate on
Joe Illage, right?
the
Particular
editor is
piece.
Marquise Draper,
Yeah.
and
Um,
he is I think
Joe's one of
he's
the writers,
the
right?
yeah, Joe's one of the writers in this instance. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
Joe has been editor, but Joe's one of the writers in
Yeah,
this instance. If I don't know if he was editing. It seems like listening to the BCL interview, they all kind of helped edit the project and edit each
yeah,
other. And then Marquise was like sort of like the boss. And
yeah,
then, they mentioned a lot of rooms or whatever. I'm assuming DC executive or other DC writers were
yeah,
involved in the year and they process. That's at
yeah.
least that's what it seems like it is. Anyway,
Yeah. So with the 100K challenge, it was basically that they wanted to sell 100K
copy sold.
units. Okay.
Yeah.
So they said doing 100K would show DC basically that Static has value
Hmm.
and it should be an ongoing series.
Right.
In response to that, and to my knowledge, again, everybody that we know supported it, right? Like you and I supported it and bought the book. A ton of people that we know supported it and bought the book. But in response to the basic initial challenge, Tony Weaver Jr. basically said, why does it have to be Milestone in order for us to show up to the tune of 100K? Right?
Right.
Why are
Right.
we not doing that for even the creators that are on this book. He said that the creators on this book have their own independent series. They have their own projects that we should be showing up and doing 100K challenges for, as opposed to supporting DC, which has historically kind of been a bad steward of Milestone,
Right.
which in turn,
So
shit hit the fan, right?
I'll read the quote for clarity. Actually, I have it
Yeah,
up here already. Let me do a screen share, um, so we can know what we're talking about. I had it
yeah,
on the wrong screen. Let me
yeah.
pull up the right screen. All
You
right,
had your Explorer up for a second there.
there we go.
You was also cussing out
See.
Tyler on some of it. Yeah, yeah. On
Oh
your right
yeah.
window there, you cussing out
Let me
Tyler.
let me go full
Yeah,
screen then.
yeah. But say yeah, you may
Um,
not want to have that. I mean, you may want to. It is what it is.
look,
It's out there. It ain't going nowhere.
look, it's
You're
cussed.
right.
The
Right.
custard
Right.
already happened.
Right.
Y'all go look up what happened. That was another Dakota incident a week prior. But
Right.
anyway, um, I say this in the most respectful way possible. Milestone Media is not our salvation. DC's inability to effectively monetize a beloved roster of characters does not mean we should be organizing buying campaigns to prove there's demand. Almost every black writer and author that's worked on Milestone Comics has their own original books. Why are we not arranging buying campaigns for them? Why does it have to be static for you to care? So
Which I
that's
think is a very fair assessment personally, right? I think that that doesn't shit on Milestone, that doesn't down talk anybody there, that actually big ups them.
mhm,
But it wasn't necessarily taken like that. There were a lot of comments after that were to the tune of, if basically if you're saying anything bad about Milestone, or you don't like this, or you don't want to do the campaign or whatever, you're spitting on the memory of Dwayne McDuffie, and you're spitting on the legacy, and you're spitting on your ancestors, and you're a disgrace, et cetera, et
I,
cetera, et cetera.
I think that Milestone Media is not our salvation part really got
Mhm.
people in their feelings. Like
Agreed.
again, like we said earlier, this is a beloved. These are beloved IPs. These are beloved characters. These are beloved creators that work on the book, current and past. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that got people in their feelings. But again, I'm 10 toes down on the comment. I think 100%. I think that
Right.
analysis is really good. I don't think, again, in the most respectful way possible, is trying
Yeah.
to, trying to do a lot of heavy lifting here. And
Right.
I don't think it was disrespectful at all. I mean, that's
Look,
one of
I also think that it's a very salient point to say Milestone is not our salvation, being that, again, while we talk about, and that's one of the things that people talk about all the time, Milestone owns its own characters. Milestone owns its own characters. It owns its own IP. That is true, right? And whatever, but however their contract is structured with DC, however their distribution deal is structured, they still cannot distribute and put out comics without DC in its current form.
Mhm.
Whatever that, however that is, they are not putting out comic books in that current form without DC. So for
So,
us, for us to look for salvation from a structure that was not created by us and is backed by an American white supremacist corporate structure,
mhm.
it makes no business sense. So in every facet of this kind of commentary, it's correct. You can't look for salvation from the people who are enslaving you. Like that's not how
not
that
even
works.
not even just from a business perspective, right? Like just from uh just a real life perspective, right?
Right.
Like, what is salvation? That means to bring you to the promised land. That means you get to go to heaven. That means, you get to live a sustainable life. That means utopia. All of those things are baked into that word. And it hasn't saved us. It inspired
Right.
us. That's true.
Right.
It
Right.
inspired a lot of us. It
Right.
inspired generations of us. There is a
Right.
legacy. All that stuff
Hmm.
is true. But we haven't currently been saved yet. And I
Right.
also think if we're going to talk about salvation in terms of a comic book company,
Right.
for black comics, though we talking about the microcosm, if we're talking about salvation, then we have to be honest about the paths to salvation. And I think there's more than one when it comes to
Right.
that. And people keep saying, in light of this argument, to kind of push it down or take the weight out of it or take the contention out of it, people keep saying we should do both. We should do both. And I agree, again, 100%, because we do both. We've already done both. But we need to think about how many paths to salvation for Black comics there is.
Right.
Um, and putting our eggs in one basket is not the way. That's just not
Right.
how we do things, right?
I
That's not how
also
we
think
do
that
things monetarily. That's not how we do things in our lives, right? So I don't understand why this is bad. I say all that to
right.
say.
Tony also said something, obviously, as the point continued to be expounded upon, right? Is that
Mhm.
you can't say support black comics, and then move the goalpost and say, well, some black independent comics aren't that good, right? Because you're willing to support Milestone sight unseen. And if you
Mhm.
are, he said that, hey, just say that's because you want Milestone, but don't just say that you're
Yeah,
doing it to support
that
black
was a
comics,
later.
because there are,
That was a
yeah,
later
yeah.
post,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
like I said, yeah, yeah. As he continued to expound upon what he was saying, right, and peel back the layers of kind of the defense people were putting up to it, of being like, hey, again, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But his position is we should be supporting all black comics, right? We should be out there going and buying. And people bring up frequency again. It becomes all these other things. Well, the quality is this, the frequency, and on and on and on. Not taking into account that Milestone didn't do comics for 20 years. So if they're talking about the frequency of, let's say, a 133 art or an FSK or a fourth wall or concrete, like these dudes have 20 comics themselves, 10, 15, 20 comics themselves, right? Which puts them right on pace and on par with Milestone over a 20-year span.
Mhm.
And so there are a lot of levels and a lot of things that get conflated with the overall conversation of what should be happening, to obscure the actual point, right? The actual point is, if you support black comics, support all black comics. If you're
Black comic.
supporting black comics to support black comics, then support all black comics. But if you're supporting Milestone to support Milestone, then support that too.
There was a big uproar over, I don't know what the guy's name is, because the one podcaster guy a couple weeks ago,
Uh,
that was a
oh,
thing, right?
Comics
Comics
Explain.
Explained, right? That
Yeah, yeah,
guy
yeah.
only supported basically mainstream comics, as I understand. He's a
Right.
black guy.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
a black guy in Black History Month not talking about Milestone, and people called him on that, right? And they were right to
yeah.
do that. But my thing is, you can't get upset if somebody says, "Well, you just support Milestone," and
Right.
that's all you do. Like that's really
Oh,
all
yeah,
you
right,
do, right? If they're
right,
telling the truth on you, tell the truth,
right,
shame the devil. So I'm kind of like, how what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
if you support Milestone, just say you do, and that's your thing.
right,
I ain't tripping off that. I don't care what you do,
right,
but at the same time, there are a few people out here that are like, I support black comics, and
right.
they don't really do that.
Right. And
Um,
they try to make it like a black solidarity thing, or a lack
uh,
thereof, right? Oh,
right,
hey, if you don't support Milestone like I do, you don't support black comics. Meanwhile, you
right.
got a list of indie black comics over your whole entire house. And it's like, well, wait, I support all black comics, and
Right.
all you do is
Listen,
support this mainstream thing that you know about. So,
right. That's
you know,
you watched the cartoon back in the day, and now when you see it, you
right,
jump on static. Um,
right.
Also, in terms of like trying to push that argument to the side, like we're not
Mhm.
allowed to call you on it because it's Milestone. There's the people will say, well, why don't we do both? That both is doing heavy lifting. My issue with the both is that DC or the mainstream usually is the overwhelming beneficiary of the
Yeah,
financial and the support, right?
right,
Like, again, this is a 100K challenge. Tally that up, $6 book,
right,
that's over $500,000,
right,
in revenue. So when does the both happen, right?
right.
And I've seen some of the creators of of the Dakota incident, they support, right? They
Mhm.
go online and they talk about books that's not just theirs, not just their indie books, but other people's books. you sent me a video of Joe talking about, he was big up in Newton and
Yeah.
Keisha.
He had Tim
Yeah, he
Fielder's
had
book in there as
Infinitum.
well.
Big
Right,
ups.
right, right,
Him is the
right,
homie.
right,
So that's not to say that these creators haven't done that, but and that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to uh take away from that. That's what everybody should be doing. Um, but again, overwhelmingly, the wave ends up on the mainstream side of this.
right,
And that's a
right,
problem because
right,
you can't operate in this salvation box with just the eggs in the one basket, especially if all those eggs get cracked by the
right,
mainstream, by the parent company. So that's
right,
problematic. And I
right,
think at the very least, we got to do better at the both, right?
right,
And I think
right.
this criticism is valid because we haven't done better at the both.
I also think there's the other element of it to where even with the 100K challenge, we're still asking someone else to say that this book is valuable.
Mhm.
Right? We're
I hate
still
that part.
asking DC to say, hey, this book is good enough to get an ongoing
That
series, which should
that
never be
part
the case, right?
I
Like again,
do
if we
not
own our
love.
IP, if we do all this stuff, I understand the business of it. I understand the business again, because again, I don't know their contract exactly, but that leads me to believe that DC at least controls the distribution of Static and of probably the majority of Milestone characters,
Mhm.
which means that you do have, you got to pay the cost to be the boss or whatever, you pay for play. But
Mhm.
that's still, man, that's rough, right? Like that's a shitty place for the state of Black comics to reside. And Joe has he made a video and he, like you said, he shouted out some creators, and Stephanie has come out and said that, hey, DC and Marvel are not the end game. They need to be stepping stones to all of us doing what we ultimately want to do on our own. Which again, obviously we 100% agree with.
We saying the same thing. It
We have to
sounds like
say that,
Tony
right,
agrees too,
right,
right?
right, right. I think we have to. Well, I think we also have to take real note, though, right?
Mhm.
Those two conversations from Stephanie and from Joe came days after the original stuff started. I think that they both got a chance to really evaluate what was said, devoid from emotion. Again, the emotional kind of turmoil or tumult that was caused by Milestone Ain't Our Salvation, which I would agree with you was the line that stuck with people. They hit
Mhm.
people hard.
Mhm.
And then clarified their positions, right? And did say that there are other things to be done. And I think that that part is good, but I'm very big on intent versus impact.
Right.
Their intent might not have been to do or to say or to stir up some of the things that they did in the ways that they did, but the impact was that they did it, right? The impact was that they allowed, in their position specifically, right? Because they're the ones talking from this place. Tony Weaver can say what he wants to. He's not talking from this place. He's talking from a completely different side of the argument or the conversation. So for their initial responses to be what they were, is the impact of that is way more harsh and way more
Yeah,
tumultuous
some
than
of the
the
stuff. So
inverse.
so I saw clips of one interview, that BCL interview, that kind of had me a little hot. And
Yeah,
then I
rightfully so.
I was like, yo, I'm gonna go watch this whole thing for context because it's a long ass interview. But I was like,
Right.
I'm gonna cut some books, some comics, work on these print orders and watch this and see if I'm getting the right context from some of this stuff. And yeah, I think even having watched the whole thing, I gotta kind of agree with you on some of this stuff. Again, uh, these aren't. I'm not saying these are terrible people, but I'm saying some of these takes was not great, and
Right.
like it really had me like, man, are these the same people I follow online? Sometimes,
Right.
like,
Right.
what are they saying?
Right. Right.
Um, and I really kind of, I was disappointed in some of
Agreed.
the stuff that was said, right? Like,
Agreed.
and I get it. If you feel like you're being attacked and then the media catches you, you might go
Right.
off. But again, in terms of if we're in community together and we're doing both and stuff like that, you know, I would hope that we would give at least the our peers grace, right? It's one
Yeah.
thing to go back and forth with online people because online is, like social
Yeah.
media,
It's a
a lot of times
cesspool.
can become a damn cesspool, right? But like your peers might deserve some grace, especially if they're actually doing some competent analysis. And I think
Right.
some of the analysis from the peers, I haven't seen a lot of detractors in the in the vein of people that don't work in comics. I could be
Right.
wrong. I'm not over
Right.
the whole internet like I'm Ultron or whatever,
Right.
but um I've only seen positivity from peers. So to
Right.
hear, some shit like calling into question our work ethic, like you're
Hmm.
not doing the work, uh you're if you want your characters to be seen in the same breath or in the same vein as Milestone, then get off your ass and do the fucking work or something, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Really, like it had me like, damn, like is this what my peers think of me? Like
Right.
it's weird. Like
I also
I
think it's
don't.
pretty hypocritical, seeing is how many people in the mainstream know Temporal are the characters in there. How many people know the characters from Bloodletter? And I'm not saying that they're bad. I know those books because I follow these creators, right? Joe and I edited a book together, and Joe has I've worked with him. We know each other. I don't know Stephanie Williams like that, but like we've communicated online and in the forums and in the community and stuff. So these aren't people whose work I'm not aware of. I'm aware of their work. I've bought, I've supported, right? So yeah, to have somebody say like, "Oh, if you want your characters on that level, then you need to do the work," when frankly their characters aren't on that level, right? Like they're
Well,
writing characters that are there. So
and
how can you tell other
I don't
people that?
I don't even want to put it on their indie endeavors too, right? Like my thing is Milestone again is legacy and all that shit, but I mean they had mainstream backing from the start, so it's not like they didn't have a leg up from indie in the first place to be in the vein that people are talking about, and that's not to discount how much work they did, you know, getting to this position, but I mean, like that's a lofty position to start from, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's
again, but
like
see, but that's what I'm saying. Like even these people didn't start from that position, right? Like there's a
no,
difference
and
in,
I
you
and
know,
that's what's disappointing is
the
that
current people, right?
I feel like the current people definitely should understand
Right,
what's the difference. And my thing, I
right.
wrote some stuff down. I wrote some thoughts down about it, and I was like, why is it that being a black comic creator means
Mhm.
we're expected to carry the criticism and blame for every failure, right? Especially being a
Mhm.
black creator, right? Every quote
Yeah,
unquote
yeah.
failure, you know, a lot of people when they review our stuff, there's a negative connotations about black indie comics in general, and there's just this connotation that we're thought of as less than. So we have to
Mhm.
bear that. We got to grit our teeth and put that on our back. But we also got to stay quiet about the systems that keep putting obstacles in our path. Like that shit ain't balanced, right?
Right.
And just to this, specifically these words that we were hearing coming out of this interview, I said I don't know all the folks involved. Like I know Joe, I don't know Marquise or whatever. Like I don't know all the
Mhm.
folks involved, but I do know a couple of them. And I was like, the disappointment comes on realizing that when you start working in the mainstream, it maybe creates a bit of light between you and indie comics, especially black
Mhm.
indie comics, and it's more light than maybe we care to admit, right? There's a lot of
Mhm.
talk of being in rooms. I know one of those comments got like pissed you off, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
So I got two things, right? I want to say real quick that my disappointment, because I want to make a clear line between two different thoughts here. I was disappointed in I was disappointed in Joe deifying Dwayne McDuffie to the point of if anything was said about Milestone, then it was disrespectful to him and disrespectful to his memory and basically, you know, the stress of the comic book industry is one of the things that led to him passing, you know, possibly before his time, right? At an early age. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to put someone's death on people who have supported his work and grew up admiring him and on and on and on, right? If there was stress from the comic book industry, that comes from the comic book industry. That doesn't
Right.
come from my commentary 20 years later, right?
Right. Right.
So that was disappointing to me, and that hurt on a fan level, right? And on a person who loves Milestone level.
And
Now,
to add an addendum to that part of it, if the stresses are, again, that's mortal stress, right? Like
right,
that contributed to him not being with us, him being taken away from the
right,
community. And, again, if mainstream, having to deal with the mainstream and having to build within these systems, um, is contributing to our mortal stress, isn't that something we should criticize and speak about?
right,
Like we
right.
should 100% say, you know, we should question too.
This is
Is
some
it worth
bullshit.
it? Is this
Right,
mortal stress worth it?
right,
And I don't think there's anything disrespectful to anyone's memory to question that, right? Like
right,
to really take that into account because
right,
we're all creating comics. Nobody,
right,
I don't want to die for this. I don't know about nobody else,
right,
but I
right,
don't want to die for creating comics. I don't even want to work hard in the sense of running myself into the ground. I want to work smart at
yeah.
comics and building a livelihood from this thing, right? But I don't think it's bad form to say, man, maybe, you know, dealing in the system is not the best thing for everybody. Maybe for some
Yeah.
people, yes, but not
And
for
that was,
everyone.
but that wasn't even the comment either, right? Like, which again is shitty, right? Like, I never saw anybody come out and disrespect Dwayne McDuffie and his memory and his
I,
legacy. So
I
I
didn't
didn't
see
like
it in
invoking
this.
that, right?
Right. I didn't see it
Um,
in these past couple of weeks.
right.
I mean,
So
again,
that was disappointing. But the even larger, the one that pissed me off is again, I've met Nick Trapper Ivy at Comic Con a couple years ago. We hung out for a bit. We hung out. It was me, you, David Krause, and a couple other people. Like we dapped each other up. It was all love. You know what I mean? Like it was like a cool conversation. I'm not
it's
saying the
still
dude could
all
pick me out
love.
of a crowd. You know what I'm saying,
Right.
or anything like that. What I am saying is that we met up. It was all good. We ain't had no issues. What I didn't like is he went off on a tangent, basically saying that he and they saved us from a worse comic book fate by what they did with the Milestone book. Like it could have been worse if they hadn't been on there. And if we, whoever the we is, right? If we had been in those same rooms, we wouldn't last 5 minutes in the same room that he was in and negotiating for this Milestone book. One, you make comic books, bro. We make comic books. So to say that people can't like last in a room, that's a bunch of people saying yes or no about a bunch of pictures. Like, stop it. We don't I've been a black man for 45 years of my life. So I've had to be in those rooms. He doesn't know what rooms I've been in. I don't know what rooms he's been in. Just like he don't know what rooms you've been in. So to say that somebody wouldn't last in a room because you're in a room with some executives about comics, as quiet as it's kept and as much as I don't talk about it, I've been working pretty high level government for about 20 years, the better part of 20 years. Uh, I can retire damn near anytime I want. Like that's how long I've been doing this. I've been in rooms with people who could push a button and thousands of people lose their lives, right? Like who are really decision makers when we're talking about not just dollars and cents, but lives. I've been in rooms with billionaires making huge decisions, right? Like uh, I know I know more about Bill Gates than your average person, more than likely, right? More likely than not, only because of the amount of times I've been in rooms with Bill Gates and he's doing his thing, right? So when someone says that he wouldn't last in a room where I would stop. What are you talking about? Like, that's the most bullshit, elitist, fuck you statement I've heard in a long time. And again, that pissed me off, and it's gonna piss me off forever because get the fuck out of here. You're talking about comic books, and you're saying again, the story itself, I supported it, I bought it. It's cool. It's a good story, right? It is not fuck, man.
We're not
He ain't
curing
Galileo, bro. Yeah, like you're not
we're
finna
not
get burned at the
we're not
stake for this shit, right? So
we're not curing cancer. So where in the hell all this pressure
yeah,
come?
right,
So I've
right.
been
So nah, man.
I'm gonna stop saying this soon because it's making me feel old. I've been in the game 20 years, right? Like
Yeah,
comics, in adjacent comics, book market, concept, all that stuff. Anything where you could draw, I've I've done a lot of it. Um, I ain't been in that room, but I've been in a couple rooms. And I'm with Michelle Obama, bro. Like, them people ain't smarter than us. They might
right.
have experience in those rooms, especially more than us. They might be seasoned
Yeah.
about those rooms, but that doesn't intellectually, you know, creatively, especially, most of us are on the same rung, right? We're
Mhm.
we're drawing from the same well. Um, so I don't know why, I don't know what the compulsion is to give that room more credence than any other room that people might have access to, right?
Right.
Um, so I think I think that's just kind of young person's hubris to say some shit like that. Like that's rah
Yeah.
rah, kind of like almost like some hip hop beef shit. Like people
Yeah.
talking shit, so I got to say this.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like that says more about the person saying that shit and the power they give the room than the
Yeah.
people they think they talking about. So again, all love to Nick and all that shit. I feel like that wasn't a great comment, and I feel like I feel like he would probably take that back having thought about it maybe.
Man, I would hope so. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm still on that's a real fuckboy statement. And I use that language purposefully, right? Like
like
you
I
are very much more moderate at this moment than I am about it. And again,
uh
I'm hot at the statement. I don't have any feelings towards him specifically,
right.
right? Because I don't that's not where it comes from, but I'm hot at the statement and I'm hot at the mentality behind it, not the person necessarily.
Right.
That shit irks me fucking big time, you know?
I'm gonna say this. I was listening recently to Native Land podcast, and I think Andrew Gillum had a brilliant thought on this. And this is also that one of the thoughts I had about One Nation and the different kind of characters um that can come together to create real change, right? And in expounding on the idea that we need us all, Andrew Gillum was basically saying, and I'm a paraphrase, he thinks we need the people that have zero, that are zero sum, right? And in that metaphor, that would be people like us, the people that you know will critique the systems or will critique the mainstream. And he says we need those people because their aggressiveness and their vision um can move the needle as well, right? There are people that are going to work within the system, that are going to come into the mainstream and write the stories and have those stories be super visible, like the people we're talking about, and that's dope. But at the same time, they might not get to put into those stories what everybody might need, and that's because they're in those rooms with those executives, right? They're in those rooms with those people that are gonna say, "Nay, nah, you can't do that. That's too far," right? And because you want to keep those jobs, you got to do what you got to do. That's a lot of what they said in the interview. So you probably need people like us who are going to criticize from the outside, fandom, that groundswell, people who won't be afraid because they won't be tethered to the mainstream company or whatever, or the parent company or whatever, to be a little more aggressive than you can be at the time. And that will drag everybody over the line with both of us doing this push and pull to get to the outcomes that we need for this thing, right? To expand our territory, black people in comics, right? Because we can hit those pressure points. It's like in Malcolm X or in Selma, right? When Martin Luther King is talking to the president, and he like, you could fuck with me or you could fuck with Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? Which what you want. But that's a strategy, right? Like it's the same thing with the deacons. These are cats that had shotguns when the Klan came around, and they would protect, like, I think it was the Freedom Riders, right?
Mhm.
So you need people that are gonna be more aggressive, the opposite end or the other side of the coin to your working within the system. And I thought that was a brilliant thought that kind of spoke to us needing each other and us collaborating with each other uh, on this kind of thing. So I guess my ending is like, don't shit on us. It's not necessary to be so haughty uh, because we're working towards the same end, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I guess I'm saying, watch your mouth. No,
That
I
too.
don't know, man. No, yeah, I think that it's folly to kind of disenfranchise your audience because while we talk about your mainstream comic book audience or your black mainstream comic book audience, that's majority of the people who are actually comic book creators now, right? Like those audience, that
Us.
crossover, that part of the audience is huge, right? So when you disenfranchise people like yourself or myself, or you do these blanket statements when you guys need to do this or you guys need to do that, and you're looking down pejoratively at people, you're looking down pejoratively at the people who are also creating. So your audience is also your peers. And so I think that that's folly. And I think that being a few days removed from the quote unquote entire situation, you have a lot of people that have kind of walked back some of their statements and maybe some of their meaning, and again, the harshness of it. And so I think that that's a good thing, but I also think that there are also statements that just never should have been made in the first place, right? There are a lot of things that just shouldn't have been said initially because they were, if nothing else, they were unnecessary. Like they didn't have to happen. There was no point at which it needed to be that way. And that's a big part for me personally. And I may not get to the mountaintop with you, but I want to say as we end this Black History Month and we go into Melanin March that I'm with Jason Reeves. Nah, I'm not gonna go full Negro spiritual. I feel like Jason covered that with the sentiments, right? But there is a lot to be
Wow.
said about the analogous nature of what you're talking about, what happened, and the Milestone incident itself, and the current regime and the current politics that we're in. It's no mistake that this is done. The story is done at a time with President Luthor, right? There's no mistake that it's a time it's talking about black determinism and black determination of what they're going to be. So I think that there are a lot of things that need to be unpacked and addressed. And I realize that in a corporate setting, you can't address all of those things. You're not going to be able to maybe delve as deeply as one would want to, but one Nation can, Justice can, Tuskegee Airs can, Isnana can, Hot Shot can, Ace Blade can, Acolyte, Absolver, Odina, Solar, all these other comic book companies and all these other creations and creators that have and continue to publish comics and continue to follow Milestone and continue to do all the work that Milestone is also doing can address these things. So there is the duality to needing each other. And I don't think that at any point indie comics should be relegated to the side. We already know Milestone is not going to be relegated to the side. I just think that as we and as our clout and our visibility continues to rise, we need to make sure that we are not relegating indie comics and the voices of some of the disenfranchised people that we are a part of and maybe not able to speak for all the time get relegated to the background.
We definitely don't want black comics to become like a monolith. Like we want the variety out here. We want the diversity out here. And I know humans tend to gravitate towards the more visible, bigger thing. But if we really want to make this thing work, I think it definitely needs to come from several different facets, like you're saying.
Not being a monolith is not an excuse for you coons to get on here and think you can say a coon ass idea and be like, we're not all a monolith. I'm a free thinker. You are not a free thinker if you are thinking along with the plantation. I'm going to say that and I will scream it from the mountaintops. And if that offends you, I'm actually okay with that because that means you got some coon ass thoughts. So, no, we are not a monolith. No, that is not an excuse to ally yourself with white supremacy. Period.
It, it is absolutely not. Don't make me pull up the Facebook page
Right.
again.
Because it's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna say that stupid shit.
Listen,
Yeah. No, no. So before we sign off, or as we sign off, again, there are a lot of things going on in the comic industry. We will be back to discuss more because by the next time we talk to you, something else is gonna pop off. It always does. It always does.
and beyond that, something else gonna pop off creatively with who got
Right.
next. So
Right, right. So stay tuned, guys. I am Brian J. Lambert. You can find me at winglessent.com. You can find me at Wingless Comics across all social media. You can also find me at Wingless Comics on YouTube, where we will have episode 2 of the Chop Up. I am your favorite indie comic writer's favorite writer, and I'm gonna turn it over to my boy Jason Reeves.
listen, I have been Jason Reeves of 133 Art. You can find us at the hub. I actually just updated the website, 133art.com. It looks a little prettier than the last time you might have been there. So, go buy some stuff so, we could make this Black Comics thing elevate. Also started a new Substack, where you'll see also this episode of the Chop Up, and you can go and watch episode 1 of the Chop Up there. 133 Art Publishing at Substack. Go holler at us, follow us. We coming out with comics. We want that to be our secondary hub. And on social medias at 133 Art or at 133 Art Publishing. And, just holler at us. You come cuss us out if you want and you don't like what we saying. We might shoot back, but
Uh, I'm about to say,
that's
yeah, I'm
what
gonna
it
say
is.
might be careful if I did that if I were
I
you. I mean, you could
mean,
try, but
yeah, we could try,
that's rough
but
work.
but more than that, it's all love. Shout out to everybody doing it. I'm glad the Dakota Incident is getting a second printing. That's progress. Let's keep
Right,
moving it forward, and
right.
let's just show love.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll get at you next time.
Peace.